The stars of the galaxy shone cold and distant, but on Earth the leaders of humanity were not looking at the beauty of the night sky, they were looking at the danger it carried. Admiral Kara Voss stood in the great hall of the United Terran Council, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. "Once again we send our message," she said, her eyes hard as steel. "This is the last warning humanity will ever give." For centuries the Galactic Council had treated Earth as a weak child. They had mocked human ships, blocked human trade, and laughed at human dreams. When humans asked for fair rights, the Council gave only insults. When humans asked for peace, the Council sent fleets to circle Earth like vultures. Still, humanity had waited, they had worked in silence, they had built in secret, and now their patience was ending. Admiral Voss's words were broadcast across every channel the aliens could hear. Billions of alien eyes watched as the human face filled their screens. "If you continue to cross us," she said slowly, "then the next time we speak will not be with words, but with fire." The galaxy's reaction was the same as always: laughter. In the chamber of the Zalaran High Lords, the alien nobles laughed until their scaled bodies shook. "The humans think they can scare us," one hissed. "They still believe their small blue world has power." On the moons of the Krith Dominion, generals gathered in war rooms, their mandibles clicking in amusement. "They are ants," one commander said, "ants who dream of ruling giants." And in the floating palaces of the Sorial Empire, the emperor himself chuckled. "Let them warn, let them speak, we will crush them when the time is right." Across the stars, the warning was ignored, but not everyone laughed. In shadowed markets on distant worlds, whispers began to spread. Smugglers spoke of strange human ships vanishing into deep space. Miners told stories of Earth colonies that suddenly closed their skies to strangers, and a few old captains swore they had seen black ships slip past their sensors without a trace. "Maybe the humans are hiding something," one trader whispered in a crowded tavern, but no one listened for long. The idea was too strange, too dangerous to believe. On Earth, Admiral Voss stood with the Council, her face showing no emotion. She knew the aliens would laugh. She knew they would not listen, but she also knew something else. Humanity was ready. For years, Earth had been building in silence, whole fleets created in hidden shipyards near dying stars, weapons tested in the void beyond mapped space, drives faster than light itself polished to perfection. No alien spy had ever found the truth because no alien ever believed humans were capable of such secrets. Now those secrets were waiting. The council chambers were filled with a heavy silence. Leaders from every continent sat with grim faces. No one spoke of surrender. No one spoke of retreat. Humanity had been mocked enough. "We have given our last warning," one counselor said quietly. "The next step belongs to them." In the vastness of the galaxy, alien fleets continued to patrol, alien merchants continued to trade, and alien rulers continued to laugh. But in the heart of humanity, a fire was burning. A fire that had waited too long. Children on Earth looked at the stars with both wonder and anger. Soldiers trained harder than ever. Engineers built weapons no one had ever imagined. Even farmers in the fields whispered of the day when Earth would rise. That night, Admiral Voss stood alone on the balcony of the Terran Spire, the tallest tower in the capital. She looked out at the stars. They looked peaceful, distant, eternal. But she knew they would soon burn with war. "Let them ignore us," she whispered, her voice low. Let them mock. When the time comes, they will remember this day as the day they made their last mistake." And in the silence of space, hidden beyond every alien sight, the first black warships of Earth drifted like shadows, waiting for the signal. The galaxy believed humanity was weak, but humanity knew the truth. The last warning had been given. The next step would be war. The stars were watching, and soon they would witness the rise of Earth. The warning had been given, and the galaxy had laughed. They believed Earth was still weak. They believed humanity's voice was nothing but noise. But the silence after the warning was not weakness. It was preparation. Far from the bright trade routes and safe star systems, in a dark sector of space where no alien dared to travel, a human fleet waited. Black ships with armor that swallowed light. Weapons hidden deep inside their hulls, engines humming with quiet power. These were the shadow fleets of Earth, the secret no alien ever imagined could exist. The aliens were confident. On the edge of human space, a coalition fleet moved, 30 warships from 3 empires. Their mission was simple: to strike a human colony and remind Earth of its place. The Zalarin called it a lesson in fear. The Kryth called it a cleansing. The Sorial called it entertainment. On the colony world of Haven Reach, humans lived simple lives. Children played in the fields. Miners worked in the mountains. Families looked to the stars with quiet hope. They did not know the alien fleet was coming. They did not know their lives were about to be turned into a message. The alien fleet entered orbit with fire. Plasma weapons rained down. Explosions ripped through the colony's defense grid. Towers fell. The ground shook. The sky burned. Thousands screamed as the first wave of destruction began. But before the second wave could strike, space itself seemed to break. From the void, dark shapes appeared, silent and massive. Human warships uncloaked one by ounce. Nay, black metal stretching like shadows across the stars. Their design was alien yet terrifyingly human. Sharp edges, glowing cores, cannons that hummed with energy. Admiral Kara Voss stood on the bridge of the lead ship, her voice steady. "You ignored our warning," she said. "Now you face the fire." The alien commanders laughed when they first saw the human fleet. To them, the ships were too few, too small, but their laughter ended in seconds. The human warships moved with impossible speed, their engines bending light. They fired once, and an entire Zalaran cruiser split apart, molten metal spilling into the void. They fired again, and 3 Kryth destroyers vanished in a blaze of white fire. The alien fleet panicked, orders were shouted, weapons fired wildly, but nothing worked. Their plasma bolts curved off the human hulls like raindrops. Their missiles were destroyed before they could even lock on target. On the surface of Haven Reach, survivors stared up at the sky, the heavens lit with fire as alien ships fell one by one. Cheers broke out in the rubble. Hope returned in the middle of chaos. Within minutes, the alien fleet was gone. Wreckage floated across the stars, their proud armada reduced to burning fragments. The galaxy watched in horror. News of the battle spread faster than light. Smugglers carried whispers. Traders spoke of what they had seen. "The humans have black ships," they said. "The humans have weapons no shield can stop." In the council halls of the Zaloran, panic spread. "How?" One lord demanded. "How can they fight like this? We controlled them for centuries." In the Kryth Dominion, generals clashed in secret. Some wanted peace, others demanded revenge. None could agree. And in the golden palace of the Sorial Empire, the emperor sat in silence, his laughter gone, his hands shaking. But on Earth, there was no celebration. Admiral Voss knew this was only the beginning. She stood before her officers, her eyes cold. "The galaxy ignored our warning," she said. "Now they will learn, battle by battle, system by system, that Earth does not kneel." The silence of the galaxy was breaking. Fear was spreading. But humanity was just beginning its war. The destruction of the alien fleet at Haven Reach echoed across the stars for the first time in living memory. The great powers of the galaxy felt fear. They had mocked humanity. They had ignored the warning. But now they whispered the same question. What else are the humans hiding? In shadowed stations, alien spies gathered information. Fragments of reports from shattered fleets. Recordings of black ships moving like shadows. Weapons that bent the laws of physics. None of it made sense. Humanity was never supposed to have this power. Admiral Kara Voss stood in the command chamber of the Shadow Fleet, the dark light of a dying star shining outside the viewport. Her officers waited in silence as she spoke. "The galaxy has seen the beginning," she said, her voice steady, "but they have not yet seen the truth." For years, Earth had lived in humiliation. Blocked from building great fleets, forced to obey council laws. Every restriction was a chain, but humanity had learned from those chains. While the aliens laughed, Earth built in secret. In hidden shipyards buried inside asteroid fields, warships were forged. In laboratories deep beneath the oceans, weapons were perfected. Drives that could fold space like paper. Cannons that could pierce any shield. Stealth systems that turned entire fleets invisible. No alien ever suspected. No alien ever searched the right places. The secret was more than ships, it was unity. While alien empires fought each other, humans worked as one. Nations that had once been divided now stood together. Scientists from every land, workers from every city, soldiers from every colony, all serving one purpose, the survival and rise of Earth, and now Turis. Unity was ready to shake the galaxy. On the world of Vera Prime, the Galactic Council gathered in panic. Alien leaders shouted at each other, their voices filled with fear. "They cannot have this power," one cried. "They are breaking every law we made," another screamed. "If humans rise, our empires fall." But even as they argued, human fleets moved. Black warships appeared in border systems, striking without warning. Alien garrisons vanished in flames. Supply lines were cut, stations destroyed. Everywhere the same message was left behind. "You were warned," alien citizens whispered in fear. Markets closed, ships stayed docked. Some empires even began to hide their leaders, terrified that humans would come for them next. On Earth, children no longer dreamed of peace. They dreamed of stars under their flag. They learned that their people had been underestimated, and now the galaxy would pay for its arrogance. Admiral Voss looked at the tactical map, systems blinking red one after another. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She only whispered, "This is not conquest. This is survival. They pushed us for centuries, and now we push back." But in the shadows of deep space, something even greater stirred, not just ships, but entire hidden fortresses, human megastructures built around dying suns, weapons so powerful they were never tested. Humanity had prepared not just for defense, but for domination. The galaxy thought Haven Reach was a battle. They did not yet understand. It was only the beginning. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The destruction of fleets and the fall of border systems had spread terror into every corner of known space. Markets that once bustled with alien traders now stood empty. Starports that once welcomed thousands now closed their gates. Everywhere the same question spread like a shadow. What will the humans do next? On the capital. World of the Zalaran High Lords, the council chamber shook with panic. Nobles screamed at one another. "Their ships cannot be tracked," one shouted. "They strike from nothing and then vanish," another cried. Even the proudest lords who once mocked humanity now sat trembling, their scales pale with fear. The Krith Dominion, a warrior empire once feared across the stars, now hid their fleets deep inside their territory. Their generals argued day and night. Some wanted to launch an attack before humans grew stronger. Others wanted to beg for peace. The sound of their clashing voices filled the great war halls, but none had answers. And in the glittering towers of the Sorial Empire, the emperor who once called humanity entertainment no longer spoke. His fleets had been torn apart in border space, his palaces now guarded day and night. He had seen the recordings of human warships moving like ghosts, and for the first time in his reign, he felt powerless. Yet amid the fear, the humans spoke again. Across every channel, across every world, Admiral Kara Voss appeared once more, her voice cold and sharp as a blade. "You ignored our final warnings," she said. "You called us weak. You mocked our silence. Now your fleets burn, your colonies fall, and still you refuse to see the truth." Her eyes burned with steady fire. "This is not war," she said. "This is judgment. You believed humanity would kneel forever, but humanity stands. We do not ask for your respect anymore. We take it." Her words struck deeper than any weapon. Alien civilians wept in fear, soldiers froze at their posts, and rulers stared in silence at the message that filled their halls. But the terror was not only from her voice, it was from what came after. In one night, 20 systems fell, human fleets moved faster than thought, striking stations, fleets, and garrisons at the same time. Worlds that had stood for centuries surrendered within hours. No empire could explain how humans moved so quickly. It was as if the laws of space itself had turned against. At the galaxy, rumors spread that humans had engines built from forbidden science. Whispers claimed they had weapons taken from ancient ruins. Others said they had made a pact with death itself. No rumor was too wild, because every rumor seemed less terrifying than the truth. On Earth, the people were united like never before. Streets were filled with rallies, voices shouting that the stars belonged to humanity. Children waved flags painted with constellations. Songs were sung of battles won and battles yet to come. And in the silence of her warship, Admiral Voss listened to the reports, system after system falling into Terran hands. Her officers saluted, their eyes full of pride, but she gave no smile. "Do not celebrate too early," she said. "The galaxy has not yet given up. Their pride will force them to fight, and when they fight, we will show them why Earth must never be ignored again. Beyond the borders of human space, the galaxy shivered. The empires had thought themselves eternal, but now their people whispered a new truth. The age of aliens is ending. The age of humanity has begun. The galaxy had seen battles before, but nothing like this. When humanity moved, they did not strike with one fleet or two. They struck with storms, black warships appearing in dozens of systems at the same time like shadows tearing through the stars. The Zalaran High Lords gathered their greatest fleet, 300 warships, the pride of their empire. They believed numbers would crush the humans. They believed firepower would restore their honor. But when their armada met the Terran Shadow Fleet in the skies above Dravos 9, the truth was revealed. The battle lasted less than an hour. Human warships cut through cruisers as if they were paper, their cannons firing beams that tore shields apart in seconds, their torpedoes striking with surgical precision. Entire squadrons vanished before alien commanders could even give orders. Panic spread faster than fire, and by the time the battle ended, the Zaloran fleet was gone. 300 ships reduced to ash in the void. The news shook the galaxy, but humanity did not stop. In the Krith Dominion, generals swore they would not bow. They sent their warriors to fight in hand-to-hand boarding raids, screaming war chants that once terrified enemies. But the humans were not shaken. They met the Krith with cold precision, their soldiers moving like one mind, every step calculated, every strike perfect. The Krith boarded ships and never returned. Entire legions lost to the silence of human discipline. The Sorial Empire tried another way. They sent assassins. They whispered of shadows slipping onto Earth to kill the Terran leaders. But the assassins never returned. Humanity had learned the art of shadows long before, and the hunters became the hunted. Every empire had a plan. Every empire had a weapon. Every empire failed. On alien worlds, fear became daily life. Rulers who once held their people with iron fists now begged their citizens not to lose hope, but the people no longer listened. They had seen the images of human fleets, they had heard the voice of Admiral Caravos, and in their hearts they knew the truth. No one could stop Earth. And still, humanity was not finished. In hidden fortresses built around dead stars, even larger ships waited, dreadnoughts the size of cities, their cannons so powerful they could shatter moons, their drives so fast they could leap across light years in hours. Admiral Voss looked upon them with steady eyes. She knew when these ships moved, the galaxy would have no choice left. The Terran Council met in silence. Leaders from every nation sat around a single table, the weight of history pressing upon them. One voice finally spoke. We warned them. They ignored us. Now we finish what they began. The decision was made. Humanity would not only fight, they would conquer. Admiral Voss sent the order, and across the stars, the crushing war began. Entire empires fell system by system, resistance shattered in days. Fleets that once ruled the galaxy were broken in hours. Even the strongest fortresses were torn apart like sand. The humans moved with speed, with precision, with unshakable will, and the galaxy could only watch in horror. Yet behind every victory, a greater suspense grew, because deep inside the alien powers, whispers spread of a final plan, a desperate alliance forming. Enemies who once fought each other now preparing to stand together. Admiral Voss knew it was coming. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the stars. They will gather everything they have, she said. Their last fleets, their last hopes. But it will not matter, because Earth has already decided the future. The galaxy trembled. The crushing war was unstoppable, and yet, in the distance, the greatest battle of all was waiting. The galaxy had been broken. Empire after empire crushed beneath the shadow of Earth. But even in their fear, the rulers of the stars could not let go of their pride. They came together in secret. Old enemies who had fought each other for centuries now sat in the same halls, their voices sharp, their eyes desperate. The Zalaran High Lords, the Krith Warlords, the Sorial Emperor, and dozens of smaller powers formed a single alliance. They called it the Unity Pact. Their one goal was simple: to end humanity before humanity ended them. For months they gathered ships, every warship, every cruiser, every fighter that could still fly. Their fleets grew into a storm of steel, the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen, 5,000 warships ready to move as one. Alien propaganda screamed across the stars. "We will end the human plague," they shouted. "The galaxy will rise again." But behind the words, their people were trembling because deep down they knew, if this last alliance failed, then the galaxy would belong to Eos. Earth forever. Admiral Caravos knew it too. She stood on the bridge of the Terran flagship Eternal Dawn, her officers waiting in silence. The star map glowed before them, a storm of red signals showing the enemy fleet. Never before had humanity faced so many ships. Never before had the odds been so heavy. Her voice was calm, but every word was steel. "This is the battle that will decide everything," she said. "They think they can stop us with numbers. They think we will fear their unity. But today the galaxy will learn that humanity does not break." The fleets met in the empty void near the dying star of Ilithar, a cursed place, its light dim, its gravity unstable, a battlefield chosen by the alien alliance. They believed the unstable star would weaken the humans, but they did not understand. The humans had chosen this battlefield long ago. When the first shots were fired, the void shook with fire. 5,000 alien ships unleashed their weapons. Waves of plasma, missiles, and beams filled the darkness. Space itself seemed to burn, but when the light cleared, the Terran fleet still stood, their shields glowing, their formation unbroken. Then humanity answered. The Shadow Fleet moved like a blade, cutting deep into the alien lines. Human dreadnoughts fired beams so powerful they pierced 3 ships at once. Stealth cruisers slipped behind enemy lines, striking command ships with surgical precision. Entire wings of alien fighters vanished in silence as Terran interceptors tore them apart. Still, the aliens fought with desperation, their numbers endless, their screams filling every channel. Battles raged on every side. Entire worlds could have been destroyed with the fire that burned in that void. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, alarms blared, officers shouted reports. Enemy ships pushing our flank. Dozens of cruisers moving on our carriers. Admiral Voss raised her hand, her eyes like fire. "Hold the line," she said, "and push forward." For hours the battle raged, thousands of ships burning, the void filled with wreckage. The dying star itself pulsed with fury as if the cosmos were watching. But slowly, surely, the tide began to turn. The alien unity began to break. Zaloran ships fled first, their high lords screaming for retreat. Then the Krith warband split apart, their commanders too proud to obey orders. Soon the alliance was no alliance at all, only fragments fighting and dying alone. Admiral Voss gave the final command. "Now, end it." The Terran fleet surged forward, dreadnought cannons blazing, black cruisers slicing through the chaos. The alien armada collapsed, their dream of unity shattered, and one by one their warships burned. When silence finally returned, the void was filled with wreckage. Thousands of alien ships reduced to drifting ash. Humanity had faced the greatest armada in galactic history, and humanity had won. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. The last resistance had failed. The age of the old empires was over. The age of Earth had begun. The great battle was over. The largest armada in galactic history lay in ruins. Wreckage floated across the void like a graveyard of steel. 5,000 alien ships reduced to silence. The galaxy's last hope of resistance burned away in the dying light of Ilithar's star. Humanity had won, but victory was not only on the battlefield, it was in the hearts of billions across the stars. Alien civilians who once feared their own rulers now whispered the same words. The humans cannot be stopped. Markets once ruled by alien guilds now flew Terran banners. Colonies that once cursed Earth now begged for its protection. The galaxy itself was shifting. Admiral Caravos stood on the command bridge of the Eternal Dawn, the flagship glowing against the backdrop of shattered fleets. Her officers saluted, their faces shining with pride. But she did not smile. Her voice carried the weight of history. "I ignored our warnings," she said, "and now they kneel." On Earth, celebrations filled every city, streets overflowing with people, flags of every nation woven together. Under one symbol, the Terran star, children sang songs of victory, soldiers returned as heroes, and the world that once stood alone against the galaxy now stood as its ruler. But humanity was not cruel. Admiral Voss sent a message across every channel, a message every empire, every colony, every living being would hear. "The age of alien tyranny is finished," she declared. "No longer will Earth be mocked. No longer will humanity be chained. Today we stand not as servants, but as rulers, and under our rule the galaxy will know order. Her words were not empty threats. In the weeks that followed, alien rulers bent their knees, Zalaran high lords stripped of their crowns, Kryth warlords forced to surrender their blades, the proud Sorial emperor kneeling before Terran soldiers, system by system, world by world, the galaxy submitted, and yet, in the silence that followed, suspense remained, because all across the stars the question grew, what will humanity do with this power? Some whispered that Earth would rule with mercy, others feared it would rule with iron, but all agreed on one truth, Earth was now the center of the galaxy. In the great Terran Council Hall, leaders from across humanity gathered. They spoke not as nations but as one voice. Their decision was final, their words echoing across the stars. The galaxy belongs to Earth. Admiral Voss stood at the center, her hand raised to the skies, her voice steady and clear. We warned them, they did not listen. They tried to break us, but instead we broke them, and now the stars themselves bow to humanity. Silence filled the chamber, then thunderous applause, the sound of a new age rising. Beyond the halls of Earth, alien worlds shivered, their skies filled with Terran patrols, their rulers bound by Terran law. Some felt fear, others felt relief, but all understood the same truth. The galaxy was no longer theirs, it was humanity's. The stars that once mocked Earth now glowed with its banners. The fleets that once threatened Earth now served under its command. The empires that once laughed at Earth now existed only as memories, and in the quiet of her chamber, Admiral Voss looked out at the endless stars, her eyes unblinking, her heart steady. They ignored our last warning, she whispered, and now, forever, the galaxy belongs to Earth.